Welcome to PICT Voices. As you probably noticed, the Paris Institute for Critical Thinking has intensified its online outreach since the outset of the coronavirus pandemic. While we reject online teaching, since we believe that critical and creative thinking best happens face to face, we are determined to support our community through other forms of online outreach, such as podcasts and social media campaigns.
PICT Voices is an interview series conducted by PICT faculty with notable members of the broader PICT community. Our goal is to present our community with a variety of voices across the spectrum of the humanities and critical creative thinking. To achieve this, we will interview a broad spectrum of thinkers, ranging from scholars to journalists.
Our first interview is with Mortaza Behboudi, a journalist corresponding for Moria camp in Lesbos in Greece right now. Hello, Mortaza. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, Mortaza, we know that this is not the first time that you're spending time on Moria, on Lesbos. This is not the first time that you've gone over there. Could you give us a general overview of the situation? And maybe you could also talk about how has it changed since the last time that you were there?
Yes, this is the third time that I'm coming to Lesbos Island, visiting the Moria camp. The refugee Moria camp now today, the region built for 2,200 people. Today, there are more than 19,000 refugee and asylum seekers. They are inside now. The health and living condition is catastrophic in Moria Refugee. They are highly inhuman because they don't have access to the hygienic products, water, and with this upcoming, the coming pandemic, corona pandemic, and they are blocked down in the Moria camp, and they cannot go outside to buy something, and they are all closed. Only those wants to go to buy some to visit the medicines and hospital, they can go outside. Only one person of family, and yes, the condition is catastrophic right now here.
Of course, the coronavirus pandemic, is not making things easier for them. So what changed after the pandemic?
Yes, actually, because as they don't have access to water sometimes, and electricity and hygienic products, they cannot protect themselves. We see everywhere with the posters they're putting in the camp that protect yourself and don't fear about the coronavirus. But this is not possible without the hygienic products, without savon, without water. They cannot. Sometimes they don't have water. They're closing up the water from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. They don't have water at night. During the night, they don't have water. It's first. And the second is that these refugees are abandoned in this special moment with the COVID-19. And there are no NGOs in the field, volunteers, because they have to stay home to protect. Now this island are all in confined, as I am now, and I can go from here to return to France, and I have to stay here until 1st of May, for example. And if we can see those refugees 2 years ago when I visited the camp, they were 6,000 people. Today they are more than 19,000. Most of them, the majority, they are children. The children, they're playing with the garbage. They don't know how to protect. They don't have water, and they don't have access sometimes to the medical supplies, because doctors, they are closed during the weekends, sometimes during the week as well, and there are only 10 doctors in the island. I mean, in the camp for more more than 19,000 asylum seekers.
That's absolutely incredible. And Mortaza, could you, so you were talking about the obvious health risks that are present right now with regard to the coronavirus, and the situation with the doctors is truly deplorable. Maybe, but something that often goes unmentioned, unnoticed, is also the situation regarding mental health under situations like this. Because
Yes.
When people are confined like this, and when people have to fear for their safety and for their health, this also, of course, this also has a psychological impact. And refugees are already psychologically heavily impacted population. Can you talk a little bit about the mental health?
Of course, yeah. As you see, you're now based in Paris. I mean, you have internet at home. You have everything. You can pass your moment. You can watch movies, read books, everything. But in Moria camp, in the refugee camp, without internet, without books, how you want to stay and pass this to be confined, close up, and they are thinking every day. They don't have an internet, of course. Sometimes they don't have access to the telephones as well. And the violence is growing right now. People, they're attacking inside the camp during the night. They cannot sleep. Sometimes the children as well. This is the very big problem for the population of the camp, because they're not NGOs. Because sometimes they can do sports with the NGO called Sports and Yoga and Sport for Refugees. For example, one of the NGOs was working before, but now they are confined in the island. They cannot go to the camp. Those refugees, asylum seekers, now they are very sad. They are in the tents. Sometimes they're outside. At the night, I passed the night before inside the camp, because I enter the camp as a refugee, and I couldn't get out from the camp, and I slept in the camp, and I couldn't sleep. I slept 3 hours at night because I couldn't. People, they were singing. They're attacking with the knives sometimes, because they think that the violence is the solution that the Greek government or the European leaders they transfer them to the mainland, for example. But sometimes we see that this mental issue, health, they put them in danger, because the women, sometimes a few women, they became pregnant in order to become vulnerable and to leave the island. But now it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and the authority, they knew that they are trying to become vulnerable in order to leave the island, going to the mainland. And this is a very big issue and this is a very big challenge for the doctors, those they are in the field. And I understand about the medical supplies, because this island, with the population of more than 80,000 people, and we see that more than 30% of the island, they are refugees and asylum seekers. More than 19,000 people, they are here. 20,000 with the other camp, because we have 2 camps. Moria camp, the biggest one, with more than 19,000, and other one more than 1,500, the Karatape, those that are vulnerable families.
While we are facing with the problems of being locked down in our comfortable houses, people who already have health issues like chronic diseases in a camp, and people who already have been traumatized by just simply being a refugee, like leaving their houses behind and their families and their loved ones, and they face with the situation. And you say that since there are no NGOs helping them right now, or there is no state behind these people, they're actually finding it difficult to express themselves in any way than violence.
They don't have any option right now, because yes, of course, they flew the country because of persecution, because of the war. Most of them, they are Syrian, Afghans, other countries, Syrian and Somalians, for example. But right now, we have to evacuate the refugees from Greek island. This is the solution now that Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctor Without Borders, they're they're calling the EU leaders in order to evacuate urgently the Greek refugee camps now, mostly in islands. Right now, we don't have, we don't see the pictures and the films, stories from inside the camp. One of the refugee girl, Freshta, 17 years old, she told me that she's living with her mother and her sister in the room of 2 meters, only 2 meters. They're sleeping inside, and she's living sometimes during the day, leaving the room in order her sick mother to be more comfortable. And this is when we see the situation that she's thinking about her mother is sick, and she cannot see the doctor because she has to line every day, because one of the Congolese refugees told me that we start our day by lining, and we finish by lining as well, lining for foods, lining for taking a shower, and lining for to eat.
It's a really, really heavy situation, Mortaza. One question that I want to ask you is, right now you're saying that there is no government or NGO presence inside the camp. Is that correct?
Only NGOs and volunteers. They have we have the responsible of the camp. The authorities there in the place, and the army and the police. They are there as well in order to not let refugees to go outside, and not let NGOs and volunteers to come and visit the refugees inside the camp. And the camp is it's locked down right now.
Okay. And can you tell us maybe about what the refugees are doing in order to self-organize inside of the camp?
Yes, inside the camp, we see that this is the Moria camp is a hell. And inside the hell, it's a small paradise, because you don't need any paper in order to go and buy your food or bread, because they in the capacity of adaptation, it's high, and they're building the microeconomy inside. They're making breads. They have a bakery inside the camp. They're selling things. They're living like this. They're playing with a kite, for example. I passed my day during the first day of Nowruz, the Persian New Year, with the Afghans inside the camp, and they were playing with the kites, because the tradition in Afghanistan is to playing with the kite during the first day of the spring. And yes, they're playing inside the camp, and the problem is sometimes, because this is they are trying to protect the population in the camp, and they're saying, no, you have to keep your distance from your because how you want to protect them, because all the tents are they're building the tents next by next, and there's no distance between the tents, and people, when they're going to line, taking food, more than 5,000 every day, they're lining every day in order to get food. And I shoot some videos, and when we see them that they're lining for 4-5 hours every day in order to eat, and see how they can protect from COVID-19. They're all staying here like sardines, they're sleeping together, and there's no distance, and they don't have, as I said, they don't have hygienic products, water in order to wash their hands daily.
Yes, you mentioned that evacuation at this point is the only solution, because if the evacuation doesn't happen and the coronavirus spreads to the camps, then it will be impossible to stop it from spreading to everybody.
Yes.
Do you think that the EU and Greek authorities are going to do this? Do you think it's realistic to hope that these camps will be evacuated?
Of course. Well, as I said, that the evacuation is only a solution for these refugees here in Moria camp. Why? Because now they're trying to protect. They lock down the refugees inside the camp. Okay, and they are trying to not let refugees to go outside, and not NGOs and volunteers to come inside. But in the same time, those authorities, police, they are going to the city and coming back. Imagine they can transfer the corona from the city to the camp as well. I mean, why they lock down them inside the camp and they don't let them coming outside? But the police and authorities, they're going to the city and coming back to the camp, and this is the problem. And as Doctor Without Borders said, that the only solution is evacuation, to going to other islands, because we have many islands in Greece that they can welcome refugees and asylum seekers. For example, we have those that are near to the big cities. For example, we have Thessaloniki, we have Tinos Island. They're only one refugee family. They're there, and they can welcome them. Those they are living in the islands with the little population, for example, small populations, they can welcome them in the island. And this is the only solutions. This is possible, of course, because they're not. We don't have confirmed cases in the Moria camp. We had since they were negative. Two suspected cases, 2 men in the camp 2 weeks ago, but hopefully the test was negative for those men. But imagine we have to think about the future, what's going on, what will happen in the next weeks. If we don't evacuate them, it becomes a big problem for the refugees, for the people in the island as well. And the only solution is the evacuation of refugees and asylum seekers from Moria camp.
Yes, I think this, you're making a good point, because as a matter of fact, often I think people tend to perceive the refugees as the origin of some kind of problem or of some kind of contamination. But as a matter of fact, as you point out, the refugees are actually more exposed and more at risk than the general population of the island. And as you were saying, it could be very easy for the disease to spread from the free and native population of the islands to the refugees, not the other way around. So these are the most vulnerable people in our societies right now. And we need to, as you were saying, we must find ways to protect them. We must find ways to extend our community to include them. Thank you very much, Mortaza.
Thank you, Mortaza.
Thank you. To finish, the last word is that we cannot, understand the reality. If those refugees they don't go to the society to speak to the people, they cannot to integrate the people of the host country. They cannot understand what's going on. Really, what's the story? Why they're coming, and they have to communicate with each other in order to be accepted in the society. This is that we can welcome them easily, and now they are vulnerable, and that can be a very, very dangerous for the population.
As you say, more than ever, I think it's very important that we continue sharing these people's voices against the apathy of the silent majority. Thank you, Mortaza, for sharing their voices.
Thank you very much, Mortaza. This concludes the first episode of PICT Voices. Watch this space for updates about our next interview, and we hope to welcome you again soon.